Dustin, what is going on? You tell me.
What is happening?
What is this game?
So the only note I wrote for the first period, I'm going to try and hold it up here. Just get it to the net and good things happen. It's amazing what happens when you get 16 shots on net in the first period.
We got to thank Ekholm for the first one, right? The perfectly deflected shot into the net, right? Won't give him too much credit, but
there are no pictures on the scorecard. It doesn't matter how you win. It's just that you win. And so just getting the puck to the net is generating chances, and having a shoot first mentality is paying dividends right now. We just got to hope they don't back off.
So we got a lot of ups to talk about then, right? For the first time in so long.
Obviously. Yeah, like I'm not going to lie. I've been moping around all day, kind of dreading tonight's game because the Oilers have been playing pretty good hockey. And so, but then I also messaged my one fantasy hockey league chat and said, by Canucks logic, we're winning 4-1 tonight.
Hashtag Canucks logic.
Oh, man. Yeah. 100% on the power play.
Mm-hmm. You don't see that very often.
I mean, they got more shots in the first period than they've had almost all game the last couple of games.
Right. Like they literally are averaging like 21, 22 shots per game, and they're already at 16 for the game, right?
And the attack looks a lot like last season. Someone went in the video room after last game and went, what the F are we doing different and what is going on? Because this is a completely different team than we saw the other night. Rumors aside, whatever's going on off the ice, like on the ice, we have not seen this Canucks team with this much energy and emotion in a long time.
It's been like weeks, I think, right? Like that they had more good plays in that first period than they probably had in the last. Even put the Toronto game in there, right? You say the last 4 games they played, they haven't had this many good chances like this in a while.
I mean, it feels like this is the best period we've had since before Christmas. Like before the Christmas break. It feels like ever since the Christmas break happened, it's just been downhill and just worse and worse and worse. And I mean, I'm guilty of having the bad attitude from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but we know there's talent on this team. We've seen it, and we know what this core is capable of. It's just been so frustrating because everyone has been grasping for answers. No one knows what is really going on with this team and why they've had such a hard time keeping it together between the ears.
Well, I wonder one thing, even like tonight, looking at the lineup, like you got Pettersson and Besser playing together. And the last time we saw Besser play really well was on the line with Pettersson. So I'm wondering if that's maybe a better way to do it.
Possibly.
I think my mom is in chat here. She's saying, what is happening? She's just as shocked as everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's time to even put the lotto line together. Who knows? Put everything to bed.
Well, that's kind of what we talked about too, right? Like we've joked about like maybe they need to do like the Willie Mitchell and the Ryan Kessler thing, right? Where Petey and Miller come in hand, just skipping away, right? Like literally make it a meme. But the thing that they could do as a coaching team would actually just put them on a line together. And I understand the difficulty in that because Miller and Pettersson are technically your 2 top centers. But if everyone's playing like trash, maybe that's just what you need to look at. But at this point, I think we just keep the lineup the way it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, just keep getting the pucks to the net, keep doing what they're doing, puck to the net first mentality, and then go from there. Enough of this. Slow it down, play to the outside, wait for your chance, start making your own luck, make your own chances happen. And that's what they did in that first period. And if they can bring that for another 40 minutes, Edmonton doesn't have a chance tonight.
Well, and there, I'm looking at it now on the score sheet. It looks like they're giving Connor Garland the first goal on the power play. So he must have gotten a piece of it, or they're going to update it later because it did
I
clearly
think
go
they'll
off
update
of
that.
Ekholm. But I don't know if he
Yes.
touched it at all. So we'll see. It's either Hughes's 39th assist or his 11th and 12th goal tonight. So either way, Quinn Hughes, once we were joking about earlier, it's the Vancouver Hughes versus, the Edmonton Oilers.
And JT Miller with 2 assists tonight.
Right? Yeah, JT Miller with the primary assist on the third goal, right? So, and that power play looked deadly. Oh, they've taken away one of the Canucks shots. They only have 15, but we're not going to panic.
Hey, the shooting percentage goes up.
Okay, so the one thing I did want to talk about 11 years ago today, because it was such a moment in Canucks history. And for anyone who wasn't around for that, it was when John Tortorella was the Vancouver Canucks coach. Can you give the viewers a little bit of an idea of what happened between the Canucks and the Calgary Flames that day?
So this is in the height of the Vancouver versus Calgary rivalry sort of thing. Calgary had a coach known for being not the nicest person, and also not the nicest coach. We now have heard lots of stories about Bob Hartley and how awful he was to players and things. So he decides to ice his fourth line, straight up grinder garbage team to start a game here in Vancouver. And there is a bit of history between the coaches as well, Tortorella and Hartley. So Tortorella looks at the starting lineup from the Flames and goes, "Well, that ain't happening." And he throws out Kevin Bieksa to take his first and only face-off in the NHL. So Kevin Bieksa with a 100% face-off win percentage in his NHL career, but originally it was supposed to be a rookie lined up at center, but Bieksa, being the veteran leader that he was, stepped in and said, "No, you get to the back. I will take the big guys." And we had a 5-on-5 line brawl.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to tell chat what happened after the line brawl?
Well, because it was like even after, so it's full line brawl, which you never see nowadays, even after like 11 years later. Like I don't remember the last time you saw that many guys fighting on the same.
Yeah.
So Torts goes all the way to the bench. He's yelling at Bob Hartley. Some of the other Calgary players are almost like they're going to start poking at him with their sticks, and they're yelling and then yelling and yelling. The intermission ends. And it's funny because now Tortorella goes all the way around and actually enters the hallway where the Calgary Flames are leaving the ice. And he's literally trying to get at Bob Hartley to have a physical altercation with him. So there's and I remember it's Shane O'Brien was not even playing. I think he was scratched that game. He's looking around the corner is this really happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
And so they're all holding him back, and then finally they break it up. But I guess now, since then, there's actually been a barrier installed. And I remember Torts coming back, and he mentioned that they call it the Tortorella barrier.
That's because of me.
Yeah, it's because of him. So, yeah. So I wanted to relive that moment because it was you never see that kind of thing nowadays, right?
No, I mean, you miss that emotion and passion, right? It just showed how much he cared about his team as well, and just sticking up for his team and his players, and just, I've always been a fan of Torts. Pretty much every ex-player that's ever talked about him, he's at the top of their list of favorite coaches. He gets a bad rap because of the way he hates the media and the way he deals with the media, but all of his players have loved him. And unfortunately, his style just didn't fit the Canucks team build that we had at the time.
Yeah.
He was right about everything he said about that Canucks team and the way he wanted to coach it, but ownership and management got in the way and wanted to do it their way. And unfortunately, he was moved on from here. But, God, this year, with his experience with drama, would that not have been nice in this locker room to just nip all of this Petey and Miller stuff in the bud? For those of you in chat who don't know much about Tortorella's history, in 2004, he was coaching the Tampa Bay Lightning, and their captain at the time, Vincent Lecavalier, and him did not get along. They hated each other. But instead of blowing up a team and losing a shot at a cup run, the general manager of that team sat them both down at dinner and said, figure this out because you're not getting fired and you're not getting traded, but you better learn how to play hockey together. And they went on to win the Stanley Cup that year.
Yeah.
So, that type of stuff would have been nice coming into this season, given all the distractions and adversity this Canucks team has faced. You'd love to have a coach with some of that kind of experience, but obviously he's coaching in Philadelphia now, still ripping the media a new one every night and dealing with his rookies the way he deals with rookies. But he's having a bit of success there, and I always wish him nothing but the best. He's a beauty.
Yeah, I wonder if we got Gritty still in here. We had a Philly fan in here earlier, so maybe he's still hanging around and getting the good news about Tortorella.
There you go.
I do have to give credit to Jeff Patterson on this one because I give him a lot of crap on this show, but I did see this in a tweet from Jeff Patterson about the Canucks schedule, and it does kind of actually make a lot of sense about what they've been struggling with lately, and you can't put the full blame on this, but the thing that he tweeted out was essentially the Canucks haven't played in the same stadium 2 games in a row for the last 10 games. So even though they've been on the road, they've been at home, even though when they're at home, they've only been home for one, and then they go back on the road, right? So if you look at that 10 games, you're looking, that's probably what that ends up being like 3 weeks where they're essentially been on a 3-week road trip right now. Does tonight's effort kind of maybe reflect that maybe this is the first time where they've had kind of that routine of being in one spot? Maybe that's part of what's happening today?
For sure. You never want to use the schedule as an excuse, right? Like we've talked about that lots. You see it at the beginning of the year. Oh, this is coming up. This is going to be a tough chunk. But until you get to that and you're hopping on a plane every night, you're away from your comforts, you're away from your family, like that's got to be a relief going into a game like tonight. It's like, finally, I've had a couple days at home. I've been able to relax, put my feet up, do a couple of things around my house because, if you're away from home for that long, stuff kind of falls down. Like they probably have moldy food and stuff in the fridge. Like it's not like these guys have butlers and things taking care of their stuff when they go out of town. Like they leave and they're young kids, so they don't really know how to live on their own. So this is tough stuff to, like, when you're built on having a routine. Going away that much is tough. Like that's hard to be plane hopping like that. So obviously, when those types of schedules are easier when you're winning. So it's been tough. And given everything that's happened with this team and the distractions, like since Christmas, it had to have been mentally, emotionally, and physically draining to do that type of a trip and that type of a schedule. So, I mean, yeah, like to have a good rest and get some time with your family and your kids if you're a parent. Like some of these guys have kids, and that's hard to not see them for that stretch, right? And they come home, get a couple days, you feel better, you're rejuvenated, and it's showing in that first period. And if they can keep it going, great.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling. And then they get to play at home again on Tuesday, right? Like they're going to be home for a while and then on the road again, but only to Edmonton. So not too bad. Only like a 45-minute flight out to Edmonton. And then they're back home again. So, I mean, they are going, like I said, they are traveling to Edmonton, but they're back against Washington. So yeah, you're looking at it from the Kings to the Washington game. Essentially, they got about almost a week and a half at home. So, and the other aspect of that is obviously just getting the proper practice time in.
Yeah. And I mean, like you can say, oh, they travel on private planes and they're private chartered and stuff like that. Flying's flying. You still have to go through security. You have to deal with getting to and from the airport and dealing with all of that stuff. Like it's exhausting. I traveled a lot last year for golf tournaments, and no, obviously nowhere near as much as the NHL player. And I was exhausted. It drains you traveling. So for these guys to have that kind of a schedule, I'm not surprised that it was tough, but at the same time, they still needed to find a way to put some sort of effort forward. If they were getting tired, they needed to change their structure. And tonight, it seems that they finally have been told, okay, shoot first. Like, don't look for the pass, just shoot the puck, and whatever happens, happens. And it right now is the right way to play.
Trade rumors. Apparently, the New Jersey Devils had entered the chat.
Mm-hmm.
There's apparently been talk, and there was a story that just came out about one of their young prospects, a defensive prospect, Nemec, who is currently playing down in Utica, the Canucks' former AHL affiliate, but now the New Jersey Devils affiliate. Apparently, he's not happy the fact that he's still in the AHL. Would you be happy with a package that involved maybe a young, disgruntled defenseman like that?
It's hard to say. It depends what player we're getting back that's the equivalent to Miller, who is the rumored player to be being moved. At the end of the day, it's just sad that it has come to this. I hope beyond hope, this is just a last-ditch effort to show the team that their drama is completely ridiculous and that this is what it's come to. We kind of maybe see that the team is coming together after these rumors and maybe being like, oh crap, like we do need to get our stuff together. This is crazy. Like we can't lose Millsy at this point in the season or at this point in this run. Like no one can replace the energy that he brings when it's channeled properly. And it seems like something was close tonight as well. I mean, there's no way of knowing how true the rumors are or what trade fell through or what caused the trade to fall through, whether Miller blocked it with his no trade or, his agent has said that he hasn't asked to be traded. And then we've also heard that the Canucks have not gone to him and asked to waive his no trade clause yet. So there's all sorts of rumors out there that though New York was close and stuff like that. But getting back a player like Nemec, given that we have two young defensive prospects already that are close, I just don't think it's a risk you want to take with a player with that kind of attitude. He's only 21 years old, and I get you want guys that have swagger and have confidence, but it's one thing to be confident, it's another thing to understand why you're in the position you're in and why you're playing in the AHL. A lot of that has to do with New Jersey really going for it right now, and they have the players to do that. They don't need him in the NHL. So for him to be upset about it rather than just play his butt off in the AHL for now and then hope either he gets some time in the playoffs or an injury happens and he gets called up, he just needs to put his head down and be a young player and do the work. You can't just expect to get into the NHL because you think you're good enough to be there. I mean, every player in the AHL thinks they're good enough to be in the NHL. So,
Yeah.
That being said, he's a young right-handed defenseman. I wouldn't be opposed to having a player like him. Obviously, tons of upside, but you just got to be a little wary when they have that attitude.
Didn't quite get to the Abbey Canucks, so we'll save that for the post-game show, but I think they're up 1-0 after one, but we can update that later.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Nothing is perfect.